In today's tutorial, we'll be discussing strings and characters in Swift. The topics are strings basics, empty strings, mixing variables and or constants with strings, detecting empty strings. This is checking whether a given string is empty or not. Does it contain any characters or not? The introduction of a new Swift data type called character. String to character conversion and vice versa. String indexing. String modification. This is adding to a string or removing from a string. And string comparison, that is comparing two strings to see whether they're the same or not, or comparing a given string pattern to the beginning or end of a string and see whether the pattern matches what is within the string. A string is a sequence of 0 or more characters surrounded by quotation marks. Here's an example of a string example within the quotation marks. We have already seen declaration of string constants and variables and their assignment of values to them, but here there are a number of more examples to refresh our memory. Here we have a variable called a string, and we're declaring it to be of type string. Notice the capital letter, which is indicative of this being a data type. We are not assigning any value to this here, so this is an example of declaration only, no assignment. This second case is an example of simultaneous declaration and assignment. So we have a constant called another string. It is of type string and it's assigned a value hello world. We could use the inference as in the cases that we discussed in the past. So a country is a constant and we are assigning a value which is a string to it. So USA is a string. So Swift, by way of inference, realizes that because USA is a string, a country which is a constant is also of type string. This is a new way of simultaneous declaration and assignment. So we start by let or var, following by the name of our parameter, and we set it equal to string, which is the name of our data type, followed by parentheses, and within the parentheses we put the value of the string that we want to use in initialization. In this case it's apple. This format we haven't seen before, but this is effectively the same as this, and it's not only applicable to data type string, it could be used with other data types, integers, doubles, and whatever other data type that we deal with in Swift. By the way, this format is called the string initializer. We will be talking about initializers in the future tutorials. An empty string doesn't contain any characters, but it is shown with quotation marks without anything inside them. It is also in declaration and assignment arrangement, which is just discussed here. We could use this format and don't put anything inside the brackets. As long as nothing is inside the brackets, then this would mean that we would like to declare this to be a variable of type string, and the value of that variable is going to be empty. We can check whether a given string is empty or not. Here's an example of how to do it. We have this string called new string, which is a constant. We just define a constant here for clarity of type Boolean, and we assign it to this thing. What is this thing? This is the name of our string, new string, followed by this this word, and they are separated by a dot. Dot is empty. So this is a keyword. We will be discussing about we will be discussing these things in future, but at the moment just use it as it is. We just start with the name of our variable or constant followed by dot is empty, and if this is a string, this will result in a Boolean value, true or false. It will be true if new string is empty, and it will be false if new string is not empty. And that returned Boolean value will then be assigned to our constant, and then our constant here is used in this if statement. We are saying if string check is true, in other words, if new string was empty, then we print that string is empty, and if the outcome of this was false, nothing would happen here, nothing will be printed. String constants and variables are declared and assigned like any other constant or variable. We use the keyword let to declare constants and var to declare variables. Like other data types, when we use let, the constant can be initialized once, and after that it cannot be changed, whereas a variable can be initialized and then changed later on as many times as we wish. When we were talking about the print function, we actually managed to insert the values of variables or constants within the print message. We can use the same sort of arrangement when we are dealing with general strings, and we could use backslash parentheses, within the parentheses the name of the variable or constant, and insert that within our string. And what happens is the our string, which in this case is assigned to a constant called y, will contain all the characters within the string, and inside that string we also have the value of our parameter, in this case 12. So as a result of this, y will be equal to, there are 12 months in a year. Notice again that 12 is the value of x and not x itself. Character is a Swift data type. Variables and constants of type character are declared and assigned in a familiar way that we have seen before. So for a variable we use var, constant we use let, we use the data type which is character, and the rest should be familiar. We could, if we wish, extract the individual characters of a given string. Here we have a string called a pet and its value is dog. In order to extract that, we could use this arrangement, which is a for loop. I'm not discussing the details of what a for loop is and how it works. It's just a loop. Let's accept it as that for the time being. So what this does is, first of all, with this structure, which starts with the name of our string, followed by dot and the keyword characters, plural, this will generate the characters within our string, and then within the for loop, every time that there is a character, that character is assigned to this temporary parameter, which is only valid within the loop, called char. So for every character starting with D, char will be equal to the value of that character starting with D, and print will print that character. So D will be printed first, then we go round again, and O will be assigned to char, printed, go round again, G will be assigned to char and it's printed. The next time round, no characters are left, the for loop ends and we jump out of it. But that's the way to extract, that's one way at least, to extract the individual characters of a string. Later on we will see that we can do a similar thing using string indexing. It is also possible to convert a set of characters which are grouped in a structure called array into a single string. Again, we are not discussing arrays at this point, but for the sake of this example, I just mention it. So what we have here, we have a constant called hello chars. Then, because this is array, so it's in other words a group of characters, we are using these square brackets, and we use character, which is the name of the data type. So this is this familiar format of the name of the data type, but because we are dealing with arrays, we use the square brackets to indicate that we're dealing with arrays. And then we do the assignment equal, and again we have the square brackets to say that we are dealing with a group of characters, and inside the square brackets, which is the sign of an array, we list our individual characters, each within quotation marks and separated by comma. So as a result of this line of code, we have this hello character, which is a constant of type character array, and its value is this thing. Now we can declare another constant or variable, in this case call it hello string, and then use the same arrangement we used in the string initialization, string followed by parentheses, and within the parentheses we put the name of our character array, hello chars. What this does, this part, it takes the character array or array of characters, converts it to a single string. So HELLO will be converted to hello, a single string, and that is returned and assigned to our string, which is called hello string. So again, this arrangement will be understood better when we go through our future tutorials. We have already seen how strings can be concatenated together. The same arrangement can be used with combination of strings and characters. Characters are very similar to strings. The only difference is that characters, a variable which is of type character contains only one character, whereas strings can contain 0 or more characters. So here we have some examples. X is a variable of type string whose value is ABC, Y is a constant whose value is DEF, and W is a character whose value is exclamation mark. Now, we can use the addition operator, as we saw before, to add these up. When we add them up, we actually concatenate this with that, and the result is ABCDEF followed by exclamation mark. We could also use the compand operator plus and equal to add a string or character to another string or character. So X is a string in this case, and W is a character. So by this, we are concatenating the exclamation mark here with the value of X, which is ABC. So the result is ABC followed by exclamation mark, all within a single string. If we have a string, it is possible to count how many characters are within that string. I have broken this down in 2 steps. It could be done in 1 step. So the way to do it is again using some arrangements which we have not discussed in detail, but we just use it for now, and then later on you can see how these things are actually defined in detail. So in this particular case, we use the name of our string variable or constant followed by dot characters. This is again a keyword. So what this does is it sort of represents the characters within string called X. And whatever is generated is assigned to Y. Once that is done, we can take that and follow that by dot count, and that would count the number of characters which is contained in this structure, and it will return the value and assign it to Z. We could have combined these 2 lines into 1 line, and instead of saying X dot characters on 1 line and then take that value, the value which is generated, and follow it by dot count, we could have said X dot characters dot count, and that would result in the same thing, 3 in this case, and that would be the number of characters in this string. This concludes the first part of our tutorial on Swift's strings and characters.